any psychological scarring with Garlett, Wade, Simpson?
No, not at all. No.
Simpson looked pretty distraught. I mean, everyone knows that, but did you need to talk to him, counsel him afterwards?
Oh, we had a chat about it. I think there's so many things that happened in the game, and just to focus on one thing and one incident, I think if he didn't kick the 3 goals, we weren't even in the game. So there's so many things. Why were we 4 goals down at quarter time? They're the things that we sort of spoke about more than actually going through every little incident. Yeah, we probably reviewed being in control of a game and things that we'd like to do different, but no, we've sort of moved on pretty quickly.
Yeah, you mentioned last week Eddie Betts would have to respond. He probably didn't have a great game. Is his place in the side in a bit of jeopardy?
It'll be reviewed at match committee. I think Eddie would be the first to put his hand up. He's not in great form. I think the bit that we need to do as a coaching group, and especially me as a coach, is to get the best out of Eddie. When he is playing, when he's up and going, he's in the top handful of players at our football club. So we need to get him back to that form, and we'll have to work through that over the next few days to get him nice and sharp, and then maybe through the selection of the team, is he in or is he out? The psychology of that going forward will be very, very powerful in, I suppose, the supportive aspect of the team and the people around him. And we'll have a look at that. But I would more lean to leaving him in the team than leaving him out.
Yeah. Lockie Henderson's copped a bit for his performance on the weekend. Some believe maybe he came back too early. Was that the case, or he just didn't have a good day?
Well, it's a hard one. I think we're seeing the levels of intensity between VFL and AFL, just the gap even go further now with the 3 interchange. VFL, we looked at it on the weekend, they had 5 players on the interchange. So how do they get to simulate AFL conditions when the intensity's not there in the game and they've got 5 on the interchange? So that's a real debate that we've got going forward in simulating AFL intensity at the VFL, or getting as close to what we can. He played 4 weeks back there, and he played sort of 92% in his last couple of games. So he got the game time that we needed to go to AFL level, but he just looked a little bit off the pace first week. Confidence player, we'll have to keep going, and we know he'll respond really well.
So you stick with him?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Brett, your opponents this weekend, Adelaide, how have you seen this season?
I suppose when they've been good, they've been exceptionally good. To beat Hawthorn over there first up, and I suppose outside the first quarter of the Fremantle game, the game was pretty much even. I think the Dockers kicked 5 goals, and that was pretty much the margin in the game. And then for half a game, they were going really well, and then it just all changed in that towards the end of the second quarter, and the third and fourth quarter really changed. Port Adelaide got going, and so when they've been good, they've been exceptionally good, and when they've been poor, they've been not so great.
So you'd be fairly wary of the fact that they were pretty abysmal in the last half on the weekend again?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think when we've seen in history when Adelaide haven't played so well, the way they've responded with Neil, and the way they've come out firing, and we've been on the back end of a couple of those. So yeah, we'll be really mindful of how they're going to attack this game and keeping our guard up.
No, the defence wasn't your problem last week, but Watson looked a bit stiff to go out after the previous week. Stay out?
He probably will. I think that'll be one that gets brought up at the match committee table. Bauer was pretty good at VFL level, and he's had a couple of games back now. He's had 2 weeks back from a foot, and he played pretty well as well. So that'll be the one who...
His kicking must give him a big, pretty very close though, doesn't it?
His kicking does. I think I suppose we review the game a little bit different from outside. I thought just some of the one-on-ones, he just fell away from the contest, being right there on his opponent. So we gave him the week off from VFL level last week, just his game time and everything was really high. He's done an exceptional job to come in. So we gave him a week off, knowing that it was a 6-day turnaround, and then we could select him so he wouldn't be tired. Yeah, he comes into calculation, but I would lean more not to play him than play.
Who's the bloke at Adelaide, Brett, that you would most like to not have a lined up? I mean, is there one guy there that's hurt you in the past, or that you see has got the capabilities of just actually stamping himself on the contest?
Yeah, I think just in the last few weeks that I've seen, to watch Dangerfield bounce that ball down the field and Stephen Hill chase him, which he's electric, in his running ability. to watch him kick those goals or get shots at goals, that looks very, very dangerous to me. So he's one player. I think their ability in their front half with Tippett and Walker, who can kick big bags, that's always a worry as well, that you sort of go in there thinking, geez, I hope they don't catch it. So their front half can be extremely dangerous, so we've got to make sure Rutten's in really good form behind the ball. And Thompson, I think in the last 2 weeks, had 36 and 40. So they've sort of, they haven't played great footy maybe collectively for the 4 quarters, but they've had some really good moments in their games as a team. So if we can sort of maybe coming to Melbourne, it's their first away game, the start will be critical to see if we can get our crowd involved and create an environment that's sort of fairly hostile for them.
It's going up.
It's going well. He had around 30 last week. Just looks like he's starting to get that run back into his game. So, yeah, he's getting really close. I think the next few weeks for him. We've got Sydney in a couple of weeks. His name will come up today, no doubt, at match committee level. The big one is Allard's been playing pretty well, and you've got Curnow, who's been a real surprise packet for us early in the year.
Aside from Jared Waite, Brett, do you need a bit more, whether it's Henderson up there or Hampson or when Warnock's up there, do you need those other forwards to have a bit more of a presence on the ground? Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. And probably the last couple of weeks it's been, when you look at who didn't have an impact in the game or where we had to carry players, it was more in our front end of the ground. So that's something that we need to get more of a response from them. When you look at the competition average, I think last week against Collingwood, we played Collingwood, we had 4 inside 50 stoppages. They had 17. The competition average was 11. This week we had 8 and the competition average was 13. So we've got to stop that ball in there. Even if we're not scoring goals, it's our ability to keep the ball in our front half for longer, and I think that's the key to the game for most of the teams. But it's a stat that's becoming more damning. I think give the competition, say, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, you looked at the midfielders and thought, geez, he's a fantastic tackler, or in the front 50, he's a fantastic tackler. Now when you watch games of footy, you actually more identify the player that doesn't do it, because everyone does. And it's more that if you don't lay a tackle, they're the ones that stand out more than the bloke that actually does do it. So from a team point of view, we had 87, but I reckon you actually look at our team now and identifying more the bloke that hasn't tackled than the blokes that are getting their 10. Carrazzo had 11 tackles on the weekend. That wasn't written about or spoken about. It's just an acceptance now.
Further to that, could that sometimes lead to Jared Waite sometimes going over the top with his aggression? Do you feel he's not getting enough support down there?
Yeah, maybe. That was more probably last year. I think he had a bit of a brain fade early in the year in that round 1. But outside that, I think he's been really good in controlling some of his aggression at the man or at the ball. Yep.
Were you happy with him trying to take those hangers in the first quarter last week? Has he got a licence to fly?
I think that's one of his greatest strengths, isn't it? He's that keeps his opponent guessing. Is he going to lead up at the ball, or do I play him from the front? Do I play him from behind, or sit on his shoulder? I think allowing Jared to play to his strengths is really important for him in his battle versus his opponent. And I think if we say no flying at the ball, I think when we see a trend that it's gone a little bit too far, I think then we've got issues. We've spoken to Andrew Walker in regards to he might have flown for the ball a little bit too much when he's a fantastic athlete that can win it in the air and on the ground, sometimes just getting the balance right of when to go and when not to go.
Just on the need for more presence up forward, that show of faith, you said you're prepared to extend to Eddie Betts. Are you prepared to extend it to others as well, or do you feel the need for change the formula?
I think what we've sort of gone from, and that's why White probably went out of the team against Collingwood, went from more of a needs basis, and we'll probably have a change, 1 or maybe 2, but it'll be more on what we need to win this game of football. And if we have to get someone in our front 50 that's tackling more like an Armfield or someone like that might be the call-up that we get. But we'll be making the decision on what we need right here, right now.